At 2:15 a.m., a 5-mile metal snake, over 300 vehicles carrying enough ammunition for 10,000 troops, rolled onto a bridge thinking it was untouchable. It wasn't. In less than 5 minutes, that convoy, Moscow's bargaining chip for talks in Washington, was erased, not by cruise missiles or bombers, but by 600 autonomous drones, decoys, and a single millisecond-long data packet. At 2:15 a.m. on the Dnipro River, a Russian staff officer is having the time of his life. He and his comrades genuinely believe their 5-mile-long convoy, a metal snake of over 300 vehicles carrying enough ammo for 10,000 troops, is invincible. This is Moscow's bloody bargaining chip for the peace talks scheduled in Washington. A show of force meant to bully a deal out of Zelensky and Trump. On paper, this convoy is a fortress on wheels. It's bristling with mobile Pantsir S-1 air defense systems, creating a perceived protective bubble high above. A Nebo M radar sweeps the sky. A multi-million-dollar system that, to their thinking, can track anything that flies. They believe they are untouchable. They are fatally wrong because while their expensive radars scan the heavens, they are blind to what's happening right under their noses. Clamped silently to the cold steel girders of the bridge, a swarm of drones is sleeping disguised as rusted maintenance equipment. They are Kajak Reboth FPV drones. They cost $600 a pop, and for the last 72 hours, they have been waiting. The Russians made one catastrophic assumption. Any drone attack would come from the sky, guided by a radio signal they could jam. But these drones operate on a different level of autonomy. They wait for a single heavily encrypted data packet, a digital wake-up call. Once that signal arrives, their onboard AI takes over. They don't need GPS, they don't need a pilot. They navigate using the bridge's own structure as a map, becoming smart guided torpedoes. The stakes are brutally simple. If this convoy crosses, 10,000 Russian troops get resupplied, and Moscow gains the upper hand in negotiations. If it doesn't, Russia's southern front runs out of ammo in 72 hours and its diplomatic leverage evaporates. Now the final piece of the trap snaps into place just as Ukrainian AI predicted. The convoy begins to slow down mid-span. The cause isn't tactical, it's pathetic. Russia's notoriously cheap tires, unable to handle the long journey, begin to fail, causing a bottleneck right in the kill zone. Miles away in a hidden command post, a Ukrainian operator watches the convoy slow to a crawl. The target is perfectly positioned. He takes a breath and presses a single key. A single millisecond-long data packet shoots through the air. Under the bridge, 12 sets of dull green indicator lights blink on. The trap was set, the bait taken, and the ghosts were about to wake. At 3:46 a.m., 12 electromagnetic clamps disengage simultaneously. The Kajak drones experience a 1-second freefall before their brushless motors spin to life, stabilizing platforms just 3 feet above the river's surface. The high-frequency whine of their propellers is completely masked by the low rumble of the 80,000-ton convoy directly overhead. On the bridge, the lead battalion's radio operator makes his scheduled report. Checkpoint Charlie reached. Convoy is 50% across the objective. All systems nominal, no threats detected. Below him, the 12 drones have already formed into 3 distinct pre-programmed attack cells. They hug the water, using the bridge's massive concrete pylons as cover from any potential visual or radar scan from the riverbanks. Their flight path isn't a simple straight line. The onboard AI uses LiDAR to actively map the bridge's understructure in real time, making hundreds of micro-adjustments per second to navigate the maze of steel girders and concrete supports. The targeting protocols are locked in. Cell 1, 6 drones, has the primary targets. Ammunition trucks clustered at the convoy's vulnerable center. Cell 2, 4 drones, is assigned to unarmored fuel tankers. Cell 3, 2 drones, will execute a decapitation strike on command and control vehicles. The operation is in its most critical and fragile phase. The technology is performing flawlessly, and the plan unfolds exactly as designed. The entire mission now hinges on a single unpredictable variable: the human element. All it would take is one Russian soldier bored on a 4-hour watch to glance over the side of the bridge at the wrong second. At 3:47:15 a.m., The drones are now just 900 yards from their designated ascent points. The plan is flawless, the execution perfect. They remain completely invisible to the massive Dnipro M radar sweeping the sky miles above them. But down on the bridge, inside a cramped Panzers I command truck, a junior lieutenant notices something wrong. It isn't a solid contact on his screen, it's electronic noise. A flicker. The kind of digital static you ignore 99 times out of 100. Trusting his gut over his captain's boredom, he makes a decision that will change everything. He overrides the passive sensors and switches his targeting radar to active pulse mode, flooding the area below the bridge with a focused beam of energy. For a split second, his screen lights up like a Christmas tree. He has a perfect target lock. He doesn't ask for permission, he doesn't wait for confirmation. He squeezes the trigger. A 57 E6 missile, a $150,000 piece of sophisticated hardware, screams off its rails. 30 feet below the bridge, it slams into a $50 Ukrainian decoy that had been silently activated moments before, vaporizing it in a spectacular and completely useless explosion. The explosion, however useless, does one critical thing. It sounds the alarm. Suddenly, the entire convoy's radio network crackles to life with panicked shouts. Contact! Contact! Explosion! Red lights flash on consoles. Truck drivers slam on brakes, turning the orderly convoy into a chaotic traffic jam right in the middle of the kill zone. The bored soldiers are now wide awake and terrified. The element of surprise is gone. The ghosts are no longer ghosts. The Ukrainians drew first blood, but in doing so, they have just woken an angry, confused bear. Now, how do you attack a target that knows you're coming? At 3:47:50 a.m., on the Panzer's screen, the lieutenant is a hero for about 3 seconds. Then, the single clean contact he had moments ago vanishes. His screen becomes a chaotic mess of ghost signals and reflections from the bridge's rebar and the turbulent water below. He's trying to get a second lock, but he's aiming at a phantom. This isn't panic at the controls, it's an AI executing its counter protocol with digital precision. The 11 remaining drones instantly change flight profile. They execute a classic beam maneuver, turning to fly at a 90-degree angle to the Panzer's radar dish. To understand why this is effective, think like a police radar gun. It measures speed based on how fast you're coming toward it or moving away. Drive perfectly sideways and your radial velocity is nearly zero. To the Panzer's computer, designed to filter out stationary objects, the drones simply disappear. They become part of the bridge's structural clutter. But disappearing is only half the move. The drone closest to the Panzer activates its onboard jammer, pumping out a high-energy burst of X-band noise. The effect is instantaneous. The Russian lieutenant's screen goes from cluttered to pure white static. It's the electronic equivalent of a flashbang in your eyes. And here, the Ukrainian AI turns near disaster into a calculated advantage. The system had already calculated a 97% probability that the missile strike would cause a total convoy standstill thanks to intelligence on poor Russian truck tires. While the Russians are blind, confused, and stuck in a self-inflicted traffic jam, the drones don't press the attack. Instead, they use the precious seconds of chaos to slip back under the girders, re-establishing their stealth positions and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They've survived the first counterpunch. They've proven they're smarter than their opponent, but they've also revealed their hand. They've shown the Russians they aren't fighting cheap toys, they're fighting a technological phantom, and a cornered, humiliated Russian officer is about to do something very, very desperate. At 3:48:30 a.m., 70 miles away and orbiting at 30,000 feet, an entirely different kind of beast receives the alert. The Beriva 50, Russia's eye in the sky. If the Panzer is a security guard with a flashlight, the A-50 is the security director who turns on the stadium floodlights. Its powerful Schmemmel M radar doesn't care about ground clutter or beam maneuvers. It looks down and sees everything. To its sensors, the drone's tiny heat signatures and composite bodies stand out against the cold concrete of the bridge like flares. The game has changed. Inside the Panzer, the lieutenant's screen, which was pure white static a moment ago, suddenly clears. a new symbol appears. A clean, perfect top-down targeting track fed directly from the A-50's data link. The Phantom is back in his crosshairs. Simultaneously, that same data stream is piped to an S-400 long-range missile battery 50 miles away. Their computers don't hesitate. They have a verified target track from the A-50. The ultimate threat materializes. A launch warning flashes on the Ukrainian operator's screen. A missile designed to kill supersonic fighter jets is now hunting $600 drones. The drone AI faces a problem it was never designed to solve. Its stealth is gone. Its jamming is useless against the A-50's radar frequency. A hypersonic missile is seconds from impact. The mission and the million-dollar intelligence operation behind it now depend on a split-second decision from an AI that has been checkmated. At 3:49 a.m., the S-400 launch warning becomes a death clock counting down from 5 seconds. The missile closes at Mach 12. On the A-50 operator's screens, a celebration for a confirmed kill begins. The drone AI does not try to outrun the missile. That would be a fool's errand. You can't outrun physics. Instead, it executes Protocol Omega-7, a preloaded contingency for the worst case. The small hatch on a drone's underbelly snaps open. A thin 100-foot fiber optic tow line unspools in under a second. At the end of that line is a device the size of a beer can, the ALE 50 tow decoy. This isn't a simple flare. The ALE 50 actively samples the S-400 seeker's incoming radar energy and broadcasts back a perfect amplified echo. It creates a radar signature 100 times larger and more attractive than the drone itself. To the incoming S-400 seeker, it's like being told to tackle the smallest player and suddenly seeing a 300-pound linebacker standing open. The S-400 seeker instantly switches targets. It violently adjusts course, chasing the juicier electronic bait. 3 seconds later, a $3 million missile detonates harmlessly over the Dnipro River, obliterating a decoy that cost less than a used car. On the A-50's radar screen, operators watch in disbelief. Their ultimate weapon was defeated by a fishing line with a radio attached. But survival is not enough. The Ukrainians now turn the engagement into an opportunity. The S-400's high-altitude explosion was not just a failure, it was a sky-high beacon that told every other Russian air defense unit in a 50-mile radius to look up. While every Russian eye turns to the fading fireball at 3:49:15 a.m., the order that flashes across the Ukrainian operator's screen isn't a sentence. It's a single data packet. Execute. The 11 drones stop hiding. They rocket upward from beneath the girders, electric motors screaming at maximum RPM. This is no longer a stealth approach, it's a timed rush. The drones do not aim for trucks, they aim for concrete. Their internal navigation systems, immune to common jamming, lock onto coordinates with a 3-foot margin of error. The first drone slams into the bridge's main support beam precisely under the lead ammunition truck. Its shaped charge warhead punches through 2 feet of reinforced concrete in a nanosecond. One after another, the remaining 10 drones follow, striking their assigned points along the bridge's spine with cold mathematical precision. The entire coordinated impact takes less than 1.3 seconds. And here, the operation's true design reveals itself. The drone's warhead fuses are delayed by precisely 1.1 seconds. Why? Because the drones were never intended to be the primary weapon. They were the trigger. The goal wasn't merely to blow a hole in the bridge. It was to create an inescapable pressure chamber under the deck. The space between the river and the bridge becomes a containment volume. The shaped charge detonations in that confined vertical space reflect off the water. The pressure wave has nowhere to go. Water and concrete amplify it into a consolidated 5,000 psi shockwave. That amplified shockwave doesn't just push the bridge, it shatters it. Massive concrete support columns, engineered for vertical loads, take an unimaginable horizontal force, rebar and concrete disintegrate. Columns snap like dry twigs. The road deck cracks and begins to collapse. The first ammunition truck tips into the heart of the blast. Its cargo, equivalent to hundreds of pounds of explosive each. A chain reaction rips through the convoy's concentrated ammo trucks. Within seconds, the convoy's center becomes a half-mile chasm of fire and twisted metal where a bridge once stood. The heart of the convoy is gone, replaced by annihilation. On the strategic map, the effect is immediate. The southern front's supply line is severed. 10,000 troops are stranded. Their resupply is gone. Less than 72 hours of ammunition and fuel remain. Russia's massive bargaining chip for the Washington peace talks has been wiped off the board in under 5 minutes. And the cost to achieve it? Less than $10,000 worth of autonomous drones, a handful of low-cost decoys, a millisecond-long data packet, and a precise human decision. In battlefield terms, this asymmetric exchange produced strategic results.